Hey guys, this is Josh from the Duelist Club. Just giving you an update on my Pendulum Magician deck profile since we got the new list, the new ban list. I know everybody's seen it. I was really excited to play this afterwards. That was my first thought actually after the list, especially since Wavering Eyes came back. This is really rough. I put this together, the night before locals. Did get first place, so it worked, but I've been keeping up with Pendulum Magicians, being considered the best deck right now. I've looked at some of the UDS deck profiles from this past weekend, and this isn't quite as similar to those, but we had the same thought processes through it. So I'm going to show you this one, and then I'm going to be working on it. I got a regional in 2 weeks coming up, so I'm going to be testing this really heavily and going in a couple different directions with it. So I'll update you guys next week, and then hopefully I'll top the regional, and I can get you guys a regional top deck profile, but let's get into it here. So we got 3 Joker. Yeah, not much to say about that. In my last profile, I thought about cutting it to 2. Not going to do that. It needs to stay at 3. Not much to say about it, though. 3 Wisdom Eye. 3 Harmonizing. I was running this at 2 as well, but now that the Zoo engine is going, I just bumped it up to 3. It's really good. 3 Double Iris. Searches your spell traps. 3 Purple Poison. Still probably the best magician in the deck. 3 Black Fang. So pretty much 3 of every magician. I know some people run 2 or 1 of this, but like I said, this was a really rough list and I was just testing, so I wanted to see maxing out at 3 how that would work out, and it worked out really well. I'd probably keep those ratios, but we'll see. 3 Astrograph. This card is insane. I was running it at 2 in the last build, I believe, too. Bumped it up to 3 as well. It's just really good because this build, Magicians, focuses more, because without the Zoo engine, when I was playing Pendulum Zoo, you can end with 4 or 5 disruptions turn 1 easily and basically seal the game. You can't play like that now because there's not any easy link engine in the game. So I play this as basically a hand trap for turn 2. It can extend your plays on turn 1 as well, get you an extra body out there, but mostly I use it to drop on turn 2 after I pop, something. Maybe I pop Purple Poison in one of their cards, then summon this and search another one. The card's just really good. I feel like it should be ran at 3. It does brick a little bit though, but I played something to mitigate that. I'll show you guys later. You'll see. So 1 ofs, Oath Dragon. This card's still a brick, but it does recycle, and that is important sometimes, so we play 1. Luster and Master. Like I said, I was throwing this together really fast. I didn't actually finish it until about 5 minutes before the event, or before locals, but so I threw Master in, and I thought about playing a bigger Draco engine, with Dianoster, Draco Face Off, whatever, but I actually didn't like these at all. I used this once, and it ended up locking me out of my scale. Well, not locking me out, but I wanted to scale something else that would have sealed me the game. But I couldn't because this was stuck in there and I couldn't get it out. And I never used this effect, the popping. So, the thought process behind these 2, basically, though, was with the Zoo engine when I was running it, Barrage is an easy pop, and 1 pop, 1 destruction can start off your whole play string sometimes, or search you the trap that you really need. So I wanted to play something to kind of mitigate that because we just lost, 3 easy destruction outlets, so I put in 2, but I probably wouldn't play these again. I didn't like them. And then we play 2 Performapal Pendulum Sorcerer to round out the monsters. I think it's 26. This card is the same reason. It's another destruction engine. You pendulum summon it out, but I feel like this is better than these because this doesn't get stuck in your scale. If you're summoning it turn 2, you could pop like a Purple Poison, and then, the Purple Poison pops one of their cards, and as well as it searches you Performapal, so this gets you Jokers for next turn. So that way, when you summon that out and you're searching your Jokers, then when you make Time Star, which is the usual XZ I go into turn 1, because you can't usually make, 2 or 3 anymore, because you don't have a link. But if this searches Joker, then Time Star can add this as some more disruption for your opponent on turn 2. So I really liked this at 2. I saw some people or some deck lists at the UDS play 1 because it is searchable by Duelist Alliance, but I really liked 2 and I thought about bumping it up to 3, but right now 2 seems good. Yeah. Unfortunately, the only target to search is Joker, but maybe we'll put in a Lizard Draw Guitardle draw engine. I doubt it, but we'll see. I'll test it. So that's the monsters. Let's get the spells. 1-star Pendulum Graph. Card's not really needed. It's just nice if you have it. It gets you harmonizings, it gets you whatever, kind of ensures your scale for next turn. Combos really well with the trap, but like I said, it's not needed, and if they destroy it, it's not the end of the world. I've played plenty of games where I didn't even have this, and I won just fine, so just one. I played some draw cards, Upstart, Double Desires, and then triple Allure of Darkness. So Desires is pretty standard. I haven't seen anyone play Upstart or Allure. My basic reasoning behind this is just also with the loss of the Zoo Engine, we lost our 1-card plays. Barrage was a 1-card Mrs. Radiant Dryden. Rat was a 1-card Mrs. Radiant Dryden. Thoroughblade and Whiptail were 1-card Mrs. Radiants at least, and then you could just do Pendulum stuff. But now that those are gone, all your plays revolve around 2 to 3 cards, working in tandem with one another. So if you're not seeing those 2 to 3 cards that you need, you're not going to be able to do anything. So I really just didn't want to brick. These were great. This was fine. It's Upstart. Allure, though, I don't know. I'm kind of torn on this card. It helped me out once, but there were a couple times where I would draw into, one monster and then one spell and just have to discard or have to banish the monster that I drew, and it really didn't help me at all. So, because I remember, I think it was my second match of the day, I didn't have a good hand, but I didn't have a bad one. I didn't have complete scales, but I had Allure, so I used Allure. I drew into another 8 scale, and I needed a 1 scale. Another 8 scale and some kind of other spell. I had to banish my 8 scale. I drew into an 8 scale and another Allure, so I had to banish, it was a harmonizing. I had to banish my harmonizing, activate Allure again, and I basically drew the same thing, so I had to banish again. So essentially, I went through 2 Allures, and I didn't even change my hand at all. So, it was okay. I played some things that I wanted to draw into, like some extra traps that people in Pendulum Magicians don't usually play, but I'd probably cut this. Probably wouldn't play it again. I don't think it's very needed. Pendulum Call, just 1. I will say, though, if you're playing Apex Avion in this deck, which I'm not, I've always hated that card in Pendulums, but I did order some. They'll be here hopefully before next week, and I'll test it out again, but it's just every time I test it, I don't like it because, like I said, it's another card, or it is a card that needs at least 2 other cards to work, and I'm not a fan of those because they just drop your consistency, because you can't summon Apex Avion efficiently unless you have 2 scales. So, and this gets you 2 scales. So, I mean, if you're playing Apex Avion, I'd think about bumping this up to 3. It's really good. It's just Ash is the problem right now. So that's why I only play 1, and it's searchable off Duelist Alliance. 2 Duelist Alliance. In my last profile I was running 2, I thought about bumping it up to 3, but I wasn't convinced. But after yesterday, after the last locals a couple days ago, I think, I will bump it up to 3. I'm convinced now. If anything, it's not even really for the main deck consistency. I was watching a UDS Pendulum Magician deck profile. I think it was a top 8. And the guy was running Pendulum Hole in his side deck, which is a trap card that's basically, it's a Pendulum Summon counter trap. They shuffle all the cards, all the monsters they were trying to Pendulum Summon back in the deck, which is really good, and it's searchable by this. So if anything, I would bump this up to 3 and run a Pendulum Hole in the side deck just because it can blow out the mirror match. But yeah, this card's definitely really good. I definitely did not see it as much as I wanted to, so I am going to be picking up a 3rd and running it, for sure. Then we have 2-time Pendulum Graph. This card's insane. It's the bread and butter of the deck now. Honestly, it's one of the best cards in the deck. It gives you your control, it gives you your disruption, and it just lets you really control the tempo of the game however you want it to. Then we have a warning. I just wanted to play something to draw into off of Allures and Desires if I wasn't going to see monsters. Because the thing is, even if you do see more monsters off Allure, you usually can't make a Link monster turn 1. So you're only going to be making 1 XZ, or maybe you'll make Omega and make something else, but usually you can do that just fine without extra monsters, so I played the warning. It was okay. And then I played a Skill Drain. I love this card. It's one of my favorite cards of all time. So I try to put it in whatever I can. But it actually came up a couple times, and it really helped. So if you look at, I know it seems a little strange in a combo deck, but your Magicians, Master and Luster are big. Astrograph is huge, and you can summon him just off of the destruction of something. So you can use the trap. If you have this out and you have the trap and you have this in hand, I mean, you pretty much sealed the game, because there's not a lot of decks that can play around big bodies like this, as well as a trap that's continuously popping things in the scale, because all the Magicians activate in the extra deck, after they get destroyed. There's not a lot of decks that can play around that, so Skill Drain was actually really good. I don't know if I would continue to run it. We'll see. But yeah, that's the main deck, 40 cards, so we'll go extra. Double Time Star. We have a lot more space now that the Zoo Engine's gone, so Double Time Star does come up. This is usually what I make first turn, unless, I know otherwise. Game 1, blind, I make this first turn, and I usually have to trap behind it, because it's just, it gives you more advantage, It's just a really good card, not much to say about it. Castell, never made it, didn't need it, but I mean, it's removal. Dweller, for Draco, because Draco is not dead, unfortunately. Tornado Dragon, this is still really good. If you don't have the trap and you have a double iris in the scale, sometimes I will make this just to pop that and get the trap. So yeah, you can do that. Still a good card. Utopia package. I had space, so I threw it in, and it actually did come up once or twice. So I'd probably keep it in there. I mean, you have the space to afford it for sure. And then this card, I remember my last profile, I said it sucked and I wouldn't play it again. It still sucks, and I threw this in literally 5 minutes before the event just because I had to fill out my extra deck, so I never used it, never needed it. Enlightenment Paladin, this card's good. It adds you back spells. So, okay, it adds back Wavering Eyes is what everyone is so hyped about, what I keep hearing from this card. The only reason I didn't run Wavering Eyes in my spells, which you might have asked yourself, is because they haven't come in yet. I came into Yu-Gi-Oh! Right after Wavering Eyes got banned, so I never had any copies of it. I had to order them. They didn't come in, but I've been testing it, and I actually don't like Wavering Eyes. There is a play with Wavering Eyes where, in terms of card economy, your opponent negs 3 at no cost to you when you combo it with the trap and purple poison and stuff, but the thing is, setups like that are not exactly consistent enough for me anyways, and the card is insane in the mirror match, I'll say that. So if I do end up maining Wavering Eyes for an event, the one in Louisville, it'll only be if I feel like Pendulum Magicians are definitely the most popular deck in the meta, which they seem to be right now, but because it is insane in the mirror match. But it's another one of those cards, just like Mist Valley Apex Avion, that you need at least 2 other cards to use effectively, because I mean, you're not activating Wavering Eyes for the 500 burn, so it can come in handy, but I don't like those cards in my deck, especially if there's some lists out there that were running Mist Valley Apex Avion at 3 and Wavering Eyes at 3, and that's just too much of a drop in consistency for my taste. But I will be testing it out, and we'll see how it goes. Void Ogre, this card's terrible. It's not hard to get out, harmonizing, but Draco can just tribute a trap and out it. So I mean, like I said, this is one of those things that I just threw in last minute. I definitely wouldn't play it again. Omega, not much to say about that. Standard. Stardust is really good if you have the trap for sure, or if you know you can get the trap, first turn, I would make this, just because I don't want MST or Twin Twister or Heavy Storm Duster or Tornado Dragon, whatever. You really want to protect the trap, because the trap really is the bread and butter of the deck at this point. And yeah, so this is just good for that. And it gets itself out of the extra monster zone, so you can do other stuff, which is nice. Ignister, Pendulum deck. Ignister's still insane. I was hoping this would come off the list too, but we can dream. And then before the tournament, I was looking for Gofus, which is a card that I actually also hate, because the copies are dead, after turn 1. But so that's why I was playing Proxy Dragon and Decode Talker. But I definitely didn't miss the Gofus at all. I figured I'd need them just to make some more explosive first turn boards, but Didn't need them, don't want them. So this is definitely coming out. I might keep this in though, because there are some turn 3s, turn 5s, whatever, where you can make a decode talker. And honestly, it can get up to 3,800, which is pretty big. That could be useful, but I don't know, we'll see. I know Jeff Jones, first place UDS deck profile, didn't run talker, but we'll see. I'll just have to test. And then, so side deck, 2 side blocker. I love this card. Don't know if I'm going to take it to the regional or not, because there's not too many cards right now that you can call that will just completely shut down an opponent's turn. Like Draco, you can call Demise, but if they have duality, you know, diagram, whatever, there's a bunch of targets you can call there. But it's definitely good. It's definitely still good, and it's one of my favorite cards, so that's why I ran that. 2 Ash. This is probably going to come into the main for Luster and Master, because I really feel like I didn't need those. But Ash is definitely really good. Probably one of the best cards this format. Yeah, not much to say about it. Maxi, it's a hand trap. I actually might even cut this from the side deck. I never wanted it in the tournament, because there's so many situations where I thought about, you know, if I had Maxi right now, it'd be nice. But then I actually looked and I'm like, okay, well, I might cycle through 1 card off of it, and I just don't think it's worth it, because there's so many, there's other cards you can play that would hurt your opponent a lot more than Maxi right now, because Draco's still a thing, Invoked is still a thing. Invoked only special summons. If they don't have the Wind Witch, they'll only fusion summon, so that's 1 card. So it's basically, it's a neutral, it's a 1-for-1. And I don't think that justifies playing it, because if you draw this going first, it's just a brick card. It doesn't do anything in your hand. So I don't know how I feel about Maxi right now. 2 Vanity's Fiend. This was stupid. Don't play this. If you want to play something that locks out special summons and make this more of a control build, play Fossil Dyna. You can just special summon it. Or you can just Pendulum summon it, sorry. My reasoning was like, okay, I can Pendulum summon, and then there's a lot of times where you Pendulum summon and you haven't normal summoned yet, and then I can just tribute for Vanity's Fiend, because some decks will just lose to this. But like I said, there's other decks in the meta, like Draco is still a thing that can just easily get over this. This is no problem to them at all, so I don't think it's worth the side deck slots for it. Zaphion, though. Zaphion's amazing. I'm definitely going to keep running 3 of this. It's your out to Draco, it's your out to Anti-Meta, Paleozoics, whatever. It's just a really great card. I would not run less than 3, and I might actually consider running Time Maidens just to turbo this out in the side deck. MST, I just wanted some Spell Trap Destruction, but I don't like Twin Twisters because of the discard. Royal Decree, there's a lot of anti-meta at my locals, and I knew there was somebody playing Trick Stars, and I actually saw this game 3. My standby phase, they activate Disturbance Strategy and Trickstar Reincarnation, and I said, okay, Chain Decree, and he was like, all right, that's game. And that was actually the final match of the day. But yeah, Decree. Mirror Force for Dinos. I know Dino's still a thing at my locals. People love that deck to death. You know, there's going to be somebody there playing Dinos every week, so. And Mirror Force is just decent utility. And then 2 Deep Barrier. Yeah, not much to say about that. Everybody knows what Deep Barrier does. So, I was definitely happy with the deck. You know, first place is nice. But there's a couple different directions I can take it in. I'm probably going to cut these, at least for testing purposes, although I did really like this. I would definitely consider running this at a regional, but I could take this into more of a standard build, like we saw at the UDS, but I've also been thinking of taking it into more of a control build, where you keep draw cards like this in, and you just run a bunch of traps, like not just Warning, not just Solemn, or not just Skill Drain, a bunch of stuff. And the inspiration for that really is the trap, because if you have this and scales, you're pretty much good. This, backed up by something like this or this, on top of a Time Star sitting out there, is just ridiculous. And you can have Astrograph to back it up, so it's not going to be hard to kill your opponent. But Pendulum Magicians are really good at breaking boards, and I'm worried that taking it in more of a control direction will make it more of just a going first deck. But there's definitely a lot of searchability in this deck, so I think you could run it and make it work. But I'll be testing that. I'll be testing Avions, and I'll get back to you guys next week on a new profile. And yeah, got a couple play testing sessions coming up, so hopefully next week will be my fully optimized version of this deck, because like I said, this one was really rough. But yeah, so that's the deck. I'll see you guys in the next video.